Hey guys, I'm not sure if I got that first part or not. As it said, tap to retry. So I tapped and I'm retrying. Um, Today is Wednesday afternoon and I posted my burpee workout earlier. Today was Navy SEALs. Pretty good session. Um, I talked about a few things this morning that are interesting that I might try to bring up um, again here and maybe talk further about it. I talked about purpose. Got a lot of things on my mind this morning, this afternoon, actually. Um, I have sun salutation on my mind. Yoga's never far from my mind, but particularly I've been thinking quite a bit of sun salutation, the completeness of the program, what it offers. Um, it's a very concise practice that can be done for rounds for a great workout if you wanted to do it that way, or very slowly, and it can be matched with a breath. There's also specific mantras that go with it. Um, and as well, see if I can bring it up here real quick. Uh, Poem by Rilke. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. Um, by now, we should all be fairly assured that I will mispronounce the name and also get the philosopher. If I'm talking philosophy, also get the philosopher mixed up. So these are the few things that are on my mind, along with um, truth in mind, or it is a. Let's see if I have the book here somewhere. It's a Zen Taoist classic, The Great Way, Truth in Mind. Um, so I might bring that up as well and do some reading, maybe read from my blog, see how things unfold. So, what I'd like to do at first is thank some new subscribers. I don't know where that came from. Uh, Out of the blue, almost doubled. I can't imagine there is that wide for a um, half naked, balding, middle aged, maybe past middle aged yoga enthusiast, burpee practitioner talking about weird stuff. I can't believe there's that big of an audience. More than two, three people. But I appreciate it. I hope I can make things worthwhile just stopping by. That, you know, even in just a casual chat like this, that maybe a few things that I say might strike up someone's curiosity. I don't have anything to offer. I'm not a teacher. Uh, I do my best to um, work around labels, but if I had to call myself anything, it would just simply be a yogi, someone who practices, a practitioner of yoga. And by yoga, I mean in that clearer sense in terms of yoga being um, union, not seeking union, but the realization of union, of living in union, living in yoga, living a quiet life of yoga is what I aspire to, what I actually do. A few little worries here and there, but for the most part, it's a pretty peaceful life, a pretty peaceful existence. I get in several easy walks in nature. I practice yoga twice a day. Um, I meditate 2 or 3 times a day. I get to sit and write, keep a blog, and I have for decades. Um, get to see the people I love, the people I care about. You know, that's a quiet life of yoga. Um, right now, that's my purpose. So let's talk about that a little bit. That's what I talked about this morning when I was talking about the purpose of burpees, which is to do a burpee. Go figure. Pretty simple, right? The purpose of burpees is to do a burpee. Make sure my finger's up. One burpee. That's all you need to do. One burpee. That's the entire purpose. Not only of that, that's the entire purpose of the universe. Sounds far-fetched, except that the entire universe had to conspire to bring this moment into existence, and this is a moment that you were doing one burpee. What follows is another burpee. Not the same one, but still just one. Still just one burpee. Universe still conspiring to get that one burpee in. Your reps come by continuously expressing that one moment of one burpee. Bam. Before you know it, somehow, mysteriously, seamlessly, 200 and whatever burpees have shown up, completed. We've done them. But the purpose remains that single rep. That takes a lot of pressure off. You don't need to get 300 reps. Does 300 reps put you in better shape than 299? This doesn't dismiss going for those reps. Just means there's no pressure to get those reps. Get the reps that you're meant to get that particular session, whatever that is. And we already know what that is. That's one rep. Follow it up the next moment. The same purpose. One rep. 20 minutes. Half an hour. What do you have? You have a session of purpose, a session of meaning, a session of fitness, well-being, everything you have. Again, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We don't have to make anything more than that. But the amazing thing is it is so much more. It's the entire universe itself. Equating the universe and burpees. What a weird and big gesture to make. But it's the same with brushing your teeth. Purpose of brushing your teeth is to brush your teeth. Clean teeth that follow is the result of that purpose. And the entire universe has to conspire to put that toothbrush in your hand to have you brushing your teeth or flossing your teeth or doing the Ayurvedic oil pulling. Everything. The purpose is always in the moment. Results follow that. The purpose is never the results. Your purpose isn't to get 300 burpees. Your purpose isn't to get 100 burpees. Purpose is to do that one rep. And that life take care of everything else. And before you know it, you've done one rep and one rep and one rep. There you go. However many you were supposed to get in that session, and you've done it. And if you're supposed to bust a ball and go all out and get as many reps as who knows how many, that'll happen. And you can look back and say, wow, I got a PR. If that's not the purpose of right then, right there, then you won't. And you'll get 250 and you'll say, wow, that was a good session. It did what I was supposed to do. Purpose of burpees is to do burpees. Purpose of brushing your teeth is to brush your teeth. The purpose of meditation is to meditate. It's not to become awakened. It's not to become enlightened. That may happen. But you sit and meditate for the joy and the simplicity of a quiet mind. That's it. You meditate in the style of meditation that I teach or that I practice, and I practice, for the clear inner sound and vibration of the mantra. Everything else follows from there. I don't have to do anything. It's not an effortful practice. It's an effortless practice. I'm not concentrating. I'm not furrowing my brow and making myself into a meditation guru, a meditation yogi, a meditation anything. I'm just meditating. I'm sitting, relaxing, thinking the mantras let go. Thinking the mantras let go. Somewhere along the line, I fall into that all-important gap, that space between thoughts. So that's what I was talking about this morning. As well, I talked about Rainier, Maria Rilke, and again, I'm pronouncing the last name wrong. I pronounce every last name wrong. It's amazing that I don't pronounce my own last name wrong. But I do. It's the same thing as I mentioned earlier. Every time I talk philosophy, it's always the wrong philosopher. I'm always giving the wrong philosopher credit for what someone else said. But the point is the message, not the messenger. And I offer full apology to the previously philosophers who's been miscredited. Some things stick in my mind forever. Some things, particularly like names, they don't. Sorry. However, dog names. Milka would have vouched for that. Dog names will stick in my head. They certainly stick in hers. We will forget the owner in seconds, but she'll see a dog in a space of a year. She'll see it twice, and oh, it's so and so, and those guys, those guys that just happen to be walking. So it's all about priorities, guys. All about priorities. Let's read Rilke, by the way. And this is, I don't know the actual poem here that I'm reading. It's from his book of Hours, Love Poems to God. And he says, this sort of pertains to what we've talked about earlier. You see, I want a lot. Perhaps I want everything. The darkness that comes with every infinite fall, and the shivering blaze of every step up. So many live on and want nothing, and are raised to the rank of prince by the slippery ease of their light judgments. But what you love to see are faces that do work and feel thirst. You love most of all those who need you, as they need a crowbar or a hoe. You have not grown old, and it's not too late to dive into your increasing depths, where life calmly gives up its own secret. I'm going to dissect that. There's a lot for me right there to unwrap. You have not grown old, because I certainly feel old sometimes. 58. I don't know why that sounds old. 56, 57 didn't sound too old to me. When I was 35, I remember thinking to myself that I was exactly as close to 20 as I was to 50, which seemed to be an important insight until I realized that that's not true, because I'm never going back towards 20. I'm just ever quickly approaching 50. When I was 50, I ran my first 100-mile race. I ran my second one a year later. Didn't really bother me being 50. 58 doesn't bother me. I feel a little, I don't recover physically quite the way I used to. Still pretty good. I think my diet helps quite a bit. I mean, I do work. I'm coming up on maybe a month away from 600 days straight of burpees, hard sessions, each and every one. But before that, I had worked out every single day doing something else. I don't feel any worse to wear now than I did a year ago. But for some reason, something slightly off. Maybe it's a few things that have happened. I think it's the death of my father. It is sort of being without a career, being without, I don't want to say without a career. I mean, and I don't want to say without a purpose, because in some ways I've truly realized a purpose of much of what we talked about earlier. With the purpose of a burpee is to do a burpee. Purpose of brushing your teeth is to brush your teeth. Results follow purpose, not the other way around. You have not grown old, and it's not too late to dive into your increasing depth. What an important and beautiful statement. My increasing depth. It's not too late. You're not too old, and you're increasing depth. That means old age has brought you something. I shouldn't say old age. That says age has brought you something, a depth that wasn't present before. In reality, there's only ever-present depth. Nothing ever gets deeper. Infinity doesn't ever get to be infinity plus one. It's always infinity. It's always the infinite. So what comes is a realization of that great depth. Rilke says increasing depth, but we could just as easily say realization of that great depth. Dive into your increasing depth. Basically, we've been invited by one of the great poets ever to dive into our own infinite selves and experience life and what it is right now, in all of its beauty, all of its greatness. And he says that in the beginning, that you want to see those faces that do work and feel thirst. You love most all of those who need you as they need a crowbar or a hoe. Dive into your increasing depth where life calmly gives out its own great secrets. Calmly. We're not beckoning. We're not working. We are no longer toiling to get that great depth, meaning that you don't have to, again, furrow your brow and meditate furiously for any great realization. It is given to you freely. Secrets, calmly. Absolutely love this poem. I read it when I read his Letters to a Young Poet, and a lot of his other poems were included in the afterward. And I recently stumbled across it again, posted it on Facebook, and just I've been thinking about it a couple days now. And again, as I mentioned, along with Sun Salutation. So he begins with he wants a lot. Perhaps he wants everything. And he does. Because at the end, the great realization is that he possesses that great depth where life calmly gives out its own secrets. Gives him that everything that he wants. Gives me, I don't want to say hope. I don't have anything to hope for. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't have anything to hope for because the realization is that it's all here right now. What I need to do needs kind of a strong word. I don't want to say should. I don't even want to say I will. Sometimes words definitely fail us. The best I can say right now is what I need to do, but don't take that need in any sense of lack. When we need, it means we don't have. So it's just an expression. Open up to the experience of right now. Let life calmly give me those secrets. What's the secret? I don't know. It's a secret. But we know it. It's whispered to us. Silently. Brushed against us. Brushed against the skin. Our skin knows the secret. Our bones know the secret. Our soul knows the secret. Hey, Mocha. I don't know if you've been here for a bit, but I mentioned you and your ability to recall the name of every dog that crosses your path once you've heard it, no matter the time. Maybe every once in a while a name will throw you, but I don't know if I can recall that actually happening. Just reading some poetry, not my own. I might plug my book because I've mentioned that the first book that I've written. I mentioned this the other day and I've been wanting to read it. Does God Have a Hero? And it's a different sense of God. This book is 24 years old. And if I don't mind saying so myself, and I don't, it holds up pretty well. Maybe better than I expected. Mocha says she remembers what's important. That's true. Dogs are important. People are vehicles for bringing dogs to us. In a sense, they're important, just not as important as dogs. No offense to people, but I'm actually purposely pandering to my dog audience that I have right now. Maybe that is how I suddenly got the influx of subscribers. It's all my dog friends who have come to um, bark at the phone when I make my appearance. So we can move on from Rilke here, but it does tie in, calmly giving out its own secret and what we were talking about earlier: purpose, purpose and meaning, not porpoises, purpose. Porpoises have their own meaning, and that is to swim, to be alive, to bring joy to themselves, to others, to the ocean, to us from a distance. We don't need to be up close and getting in their business. We certainly don't need to hold them in captivity and have them perform for us. Why don't we perform for dolphins and porpoises? We should have a human show in the ocean voluntarily. No one has to be forced into it. I know plenty of people who love dolphins, love the ocean, and they would love to get in the water and put on a show, a skit, dance, you know? I'm sure the dolphins would love it. And then we would go out of the ocean, mind our own business, pick up a few things of trash on our way out, make the ocean a little cleaner place. That might be the first time this idea has been floated in public, and you heard it here first on the non-podcast channel. So, you know what? I'm giving it away. Take it freely. Run with it. That might have been the great secret that Rilke was talking about that was calmly handed to me. Humans in a skit show performed for dolphins and porpoises and orcas. You know, any sea life that would like to come along and watch us perform for them freely, because we've taken enough from the ocean ever since the day our singled cell ancestors climbed the shore and took a deep breath and said, hey, I think I'm going to stay and muck up this planet for a little while, which we have. Not to get preachy, I apologize. So let's go on and maybe read something else. I'm just in the mood to explore the things that are in my head for whatever reason. One of the things is the Great Way. Trust in Mind, I believe, is the actual name of the ancient. I think there might be a slight argument between, is it a Zen text? Is it a Taoist text? Is there a difference if it reveals a certain truth? I'm not going to pronounce the Chinese name. I mangled Rilke in his German name, so why would I do this to a venerable Zen master who's been around forever? The poem is The Great Way, or Trust in Mind, and you'll be able to look at the name and mangle it your own self without my participation. The Great Way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. The struggle of what one likes and what one dislikes is the disease of the mind. That many people don't like, although it just feels true. Again, it's one of those great secrets from Rilke that you just know. Your skin feels it. Your bones tremble as you read that, and the mind rebels because the mind wants to make a distinction. It's weird because we live in a world, life, making those distinctions. Conservative, liberal, north, south, east, west, good, bad, love, hate. Are they distinctions? I'd say everything is except for love, because love is reality, the capacity that holds those every distinctions without having a condition on what it does. That is love in essence. We make distinctions and we call it love. However, love is not an emotion. It doesn't vary. You don't have varying degrees of love. I love you now a little more than I did yesterday. I love you a little less today than I did yesterday or the day before. That's not love. That means I have affection more for you now than I did before, or less than I did before. Affection isn't love, it's affection. Love is what allows affection to be. Um, these are the distinctions that are being made. How do you pronounce the H's in the Chinese language? Hisin Ming is the author. And Hisin, again, I'm mangling the name. So, don't come along and watch and say, well, he really messed up saying that. I most certainly did. I realize it. The great way is the undivided mind. It's reality. It's what is, and it's always present. So what he's saying is the great way is not so difficult, and it's not so difficult because it's already present. It's already here. You are already awake, already enlightened. You just need to relax. That was a message I got from my friend Robert Saltzman in his great book, The 10,000 Things. Relax. Everything already is. And if it isn't, then it isn't. What's to get upset about? That's another way of saying the great way is not too difficult for those who have no preferences. Doesn't mean don't have a preference. Sometimes, these things come straight out and say something along those lines for those who have no preferences. But preferences happen, and that's key right there. Knowing that they happen, but not just simply being aware of them. That's a preference. It's not reality. It's a preference. Just upgrading to a preference is actually quite a big difference than a demand. Ken Keyes, the author in the 60s and 70s, wrote the Keys to Enlightenment. I don't rightly remember. He had polio. You would never know it from reading his books, from hearing him talk on the radio or listening to any of his audiobooks. Paralyzed relatively late. I think he might have been in his 20s or 30s. Paralyzed from the neck down from polio. And he found a way to live a meaningful, purposeful, happy life. His secret was upgrade his demands to a preference. He would certainly prefer to walk, not be paralyzed. But there was no longer a demand. To make it even lighter, stuck in a long line somewhere, I would certainly prefer not to be in line, to not be stuck, to have the line move faster. But here I am. My demand is to say this line needs to move faster. Don't you know who I am? I have important things to do. That's a demand. The preference is here I am. And I'd much rather be someplace else, but this is where I am. So the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. It's not that difficult if you have a preference, as long as you know it's a preference. And that reality stays the same one way or the other. Your preferences don't have preferential treatment in the world. Sorry to say. I wish they did. At least mine. When love and hate are both absent, and again, he's talking about not love in the actual sense, but how we treat love, how we believe love. When they are absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. That's love, that clear and undisguised everything, isness, presence. As soon as we make that smallest distinction, the world is set asunder. That is my ad lib right there, not in this poem. Heaven and hell, heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. Not real easy. But that's just to see the truth. The great thing with reality, it is, Philip K. Dick, reality is that which doesn't change when you cease to believe in it. Um, that I got the person right, but I probably mangled the quote. Um, what he's saying is, this is to see the truth. However, living the truth means that you're probably going to have opinions, that you're going to be for something, you're going to be against something, but we can always realize that truth. Our opinion is set in that infinite backdrop of reality that doesn't have conditions. To me, that really is key. The disease of what one, the struggle of what one likes and what one dislikes is the disease of the mind. That's where this stanza ends. Disease of the mind, which is true. And we see that now. Everyone having these opinions. Strong, have to be right because it's my opinion. Have to be right because this is what I believe. Has to be right because this is what the news broadcaster told me. Has to be right because this is what my parents and my teachers and my clergy and the books. So it has to be right. But it's never questioned. Brings to mind Brian Katie's wonderful form of self-inquiry. Is it true? Just asking ourselves that. Is it true? Who would we be if it wasn't true? Can we absolutely know for certain that it's true? I got those out of order, but it's all the same. It's the same inquiry. Is it true? Most importantly, who would we be if we didn't have that belief? That's what separates a lot of things for me. I talked about a little bit about politics yesterday, about rightly so being labeled liberal, although I don't go by any label. Again, going with my fallback philosopher, Kierkegaard, and I say fallback because I don't know who actually said it. Once you label me, you negate me. And that's regardless of saying someone's conservative or someone's liberal. Once you label them, you've negated them. If you're conservative and you've labeled someone a liberal, you've negated everything they have to say after that because you don't believe in liberalism. If you are a liberal and you label someone a conservative, then the conversation's over because you don't believe anything they got to say because you've labeled them a conservative. Labels have a place, but once you've labeled that, you've negated something. However, if you just simply go to that form of self-inquiry and ask, is it true? I saw something this morning, a little bit of a broadcast, and someone was saying all liberals are socialists who are out to destroy the Western civilization that we know and cherish. A simple question, is that true? Is it always true? Is it absolutely true in every sense? It isn't. We can do that with every single thing that surfaces in our life. If I say someone is always mean to me, someone is always late, someone is always on time, it doesn't matter. Take anything. Is it true? Can we absolutely know for certain that it's true? Who would we be if we didn't have that belief? Boy, what a great sense of freedom just thinking about that. Who would we be if we didn't have that belief that all liberals were socialists, that all conservatives were against protecting the climate? If you are a conservative and you don't believe in climate change, is your belief true? Who would you be if you didn't have that belief? You'd be someone that was really, really hot right now, who was suffering the consequences of a climate crisis, and you might want to do something about it. Do I believe climate change is real? I do. Who would I be if I didn't have that belief? I'd be somebody that was really hot, who wanted to do something to make life more bearable and comfortable for those who those who are present and those who are coming after me. So the answer comes down to the same. Climate crisis is just a name for what's happening. And we've labeled it and we negated it because you have people on both sides of this camp saying it's true, it's not true. It's labeled, it's become political, and no one is doing anything about it, or very little about it. If we didn't have that label, who would we be? We'd be people who are acting for the collective good of ourselves and the planet. Pretty important work. Purpose. Back to the very beginning of the conversation. Our purpose in light of the climate crisis is to act responsibly right now. How that might be, put your thermostat up a little bit higher. Save some water. Don't water your lawn. Don't have a lawn. Have a biodiverse paradise in your front lawn. Infinite ways of finding that type of purpose right here, right now. The purpose isn't to end climate crisis because that's the result. And we're not working for results. We are working for the purpose of the moment. And that might be to plant a flower. It might be to plant a tree. It might be to save water. It might be to fly less. It might be to change your diet so it's not meat-centered. I didn't say give up meat, not meat-centered. Purpose. Easy to do. Maybe not easy to do. Easy to realize. Might be a little difficult to do. Except when you realize it's only one thing. And it's not for the result. We're not looking at that bigger picture. That comes. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's the beautiful thing about purpose. It follows what we do right now. So we all know our purpose. It's the thing to do right now. Again, the purpose of brushing your teeth is to brush your teeth, and the result is dental hygiene, clean teeth, clean breath. Dental hygiene, flossing your teeth, and you prevent heart disease. But you don't say, hey, I need to do something right now to prevent heart disease. Let me go floss my teeth. What you do is you get up with the purpose of flossing your teeth. You floss your teeth. Results follow. I think I've strayed along a little ways from the great mind, but it all ties together. It all ties together with what Rilke was saying, the secrets that are revealed. I think the conversation actually ties together overall. Maybe not. Does it have to? Not really, because, I'm just having a conversation. I'm just talking. Whatever comes up, comes up. Nothing's planned. I'm reading a few things that wasn't planned, but they've been on my mind. Usually one of the things I started with this channel was to simply read from my blog and then talk about it. I haven't read from my blog in probably a week now. I keep meaning to get back to it. And today's blog was about the sun salutation, which is something that I said I wanted to talk about, but I don't think I'll get a chance. We're coming up on 39 minutes. I think I could wrap this session up in 40 or less, which is good, because sometimes it stretches out to an hour. And now that I have a larger audience, 279 subscribers, I need to be mindful of my vast responsibility of not being boring. I've probably failed already, and today's the first day. However, my purpose isn't to entertain, it's to have this conversation. The entertainment is what follows. All right, guys, so we're wrapping this up. I still have a little over 30 seconds to say goodbye. Thank you for showing up, Mocha. Thank you for being here. Thank you again for the people who have bothered to subscribe. And again, I hope I can offer something, even if it's just a sense of curiosity. What the hell is this guy talking about? Let me look this up and prove this guy wrong. I don't care. I have no problem being wrong or being right. So if I can spark some curiosity, if you go read any of the things that we've been talking about, that's great. That's wonderful. Then I got the results from this one moment of this conversation. All right, guys, take care.